And that's really where I started to think like tantra should, like, even if you don't believe in God or universe or spirituality, like, because you have a physical body, you are like, you can have these kind of experiences, and everybody should have at least the roadmap to get there, because it's beautiful, it's sacred, it's transformational. This is what I do now when I need anything. This is my go-to place. And to reframe sexuality from something transactional towards like really the arena for healing, for transformation, for uplifting, for everything.
I love it. We're talking about my favorite part of life, Sophie, like by far. And when I realized that all of us are energy, like when I became aware of this, when I became aware of this is who all of us truly are. And even though I only speak English, so we have words, and it's very ironic. Literally 5 minutes before I came on with you, I just posted the most recent episode of the podcast, and the title is How to Reach the, quote, Higher Frequencies.
Yeah.
Love, bliss, ecstasy, nirvana, euphoria. Like, this is the title of the most recent podcast. By the time you guys hear this will already been out. That's episode 121. But we're about to talk about a lot of some really good stuff in relation to this, because I just love knowing that as human beings, all that we have is this moment. And so when it comes to like choices that we choose to make, knowing that frequency in 2020 and beyond, like you mentioned at the beginning, science and spirituality, like this is all like married right now. Like this can be measured. So like where 100 years ago, this would have sounded like, what does he mean? Like a human being can feel bliss or, ecstasy or nirvana. Like now, even though it's just a label that we're putting on an energetic frequency, it can be measured to where we're like, I feel amazing. I'm going to call that bliss, or I'm going to call that ecstasy, or whatever it is. And for all of us, it's slightly different. But my point is knowing that that's possible for all of us. There's no human on earth that can't reach these higher frequencies. I say higher, but there's no limit to it. Like, so that's why I put higher in quotes, or highest in quotes, because there's no highest. It's just like we're unlimited as human beings. But just being aware of this, if the only moment that's promised to any of us is right now, and you have an opportunity, if it's something that you want to experience, and you allow yourself to feel these frequencies, which we'll get into in a little bit, how you can reach these for sure. But if this is an option, what would you rather be doing? Like not enjoying yourself? Like I don't see, like, so when you mention like people like judging others or condemning others for experiencing life in a beautiful way to consenting adults, what would you rather be doing? Like something a little bit less fun? Okay, to each their own. When I discovered this, I was like, the moments of my life that I feel if we have a chance to look back on at the end of our life that we're going to actually think about and remember will be the ones with the strongest energetic charge. And might not be only blissful moments, like if we allow ourselves to think about maybe some traumatic moments, still very strong energetic charge. Not going to be just the cool conversation you had one time at the grocery store. May have been a cool conversation, but not a strong enough frequency for you to really remember out of all the life experiences that we've had. So I love talking about this topic so much because I just want humans to be aware, A, that we can experience this, and then B, how.
And I think it's really important that a man speaks about this. That maybe sounds strange, but I think women's bodies are naturally a bit more energetic, and also our sexual energy is a bit more a full body experience naturally and biologically speaking anyways. And for men to speak about like what it means to be in bliss and in ecstasy and flow and to feel energy. I was listening to one of your other podcasts and you were speaking about this a lot, and I thought, this is so important that a guy speaks about this, that it doesn't become this like fluffy subject. Like flow state or feeling energy or feeling your partner is such a tangible thing that I would love for just to be a much more normal subject between men.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll help make it more normal for sure. There's always a reason why the parts of life that we're really like passionate about, that we really enjoy, there was always a time where there was maybe a bit of challenge or circumstance where it's like, I want to evolve this area of life. And so for me, and probably for every guy out there, like there was a time where, I prematurely ejaculated. And I'm sure like when I was 18, I remember a situation, and like, I'll probably never forget it because it was a strong energy, but not in a good feeling way. It was like, and there was a girl that I really wanted to enjoy that part of life with, the sexual experience, and just wasn't the right timing. She had a boyfriend or whatever. And then all of a sudden, something happened with that, and I'm getting a text message or a call, like, and she's like, Noel, I really want to hang out with you. And I'm like, awesome, perfect timing, you know? And so go over there, long story short, wasn't able to perform at my like desire. And it was like 2 seconds, way too excited. Like, and then she was like, oh, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. And then that was the last chance I ever got to be able to experience that. And I was like, this feels terrible. So that started my beautiful journey of, let me see how I can enjoy like sex more and be able to last long and to be able to just fully embrace, which even at that time I knew was my favorite part of life. For a lot of guys out there, like you think, well, you have to think about like your grandmother or spiders or something in order to not, or use numbing creams or, you know, different things, like just terrible experience. And then you ladies, I was always like, you guys can not only orgasm, but orgasm multiple times, continue on with the sexual experience. We're over here trying to like hold back all of our feelings and our energy so that we don't, so that we could just like last long enough to not be embarrassed. I was like, this has to be. So that was 18, and like fast forward like years later, that has evolved so much to where, yes, I can have multiple energy orgasms throughout the whole process. Like I can allow myself to go all the way up to the peak and stay there for as long as I want without ejaculating, so that I can get the same feeling, so I can feel the energy of my partner go the whole time. And then when you orgasm, like I can feel it, but I don't have to ejaculate. I can keep going, so I can still have. So there's levels to it, guys out there. So.
Yes. But it's possible. Like this is possible for every man.
Yes.
It's possible. It's very possible. It's more, it's different for men because like for women, the sexual energy goes from the heart to the sex center. And for men, it actually goes from the sex center to the heart. And that's a movement that we don't often really allow for with men. And so men really have to practice like moving that energy up and into the body instead of like having it super localized.
For sure.
And that's a very dedicated practice, but on the other side, like it's exactly what you're talking about. Like the ejaculation, the orgasm separate.
Now, I mean, I could like literally, so my sexual experience, because I enjoy it so much because of this, I just want this for every human, male or female, like for you to be able to enjoy this part of life or any part of life, but just understand how. Because if you have total presence doing anything, especially like in a sexual experience, for me, I haven't discovered a part of life where I can allow my energy to go to this point, just in this physical world. Like I love doing lots of things, but this is just another level of human connection. It's because there's two of you or more, and you can allow yourself to go. You smile. I'm so open. You just allow yourself to go to places that by yourself is just a little bit more challenging. Not that you can't, but for me, I just found easier to allow myself to go with other people. So my point is, like, once we discover this and know that if we can just have total presence and allow our energy to flow to these places, it's not going to go there if you're saying, I wonder, is this good? Or I wonder, are they enjoying it? Or should I even be doing this? Or whatever other questions we may be asking ourselves to lose presence, like you just split our energy off, and momentum is not going to continue to climb towards that. Another thing that I will say, before even having any awareness of like being able to do this sexually, because I made it important to me to live in at least a peaceful, content state in everyday life and allow my momentum to carry me into the higher frequencies of just being happy and excited and passionate and joyful, bliss, whatever you want to call it. That's just momentum taking it there. So if we can get used to allowing our energy to just be awesome in everyday life, it's much easier to allow it to go there when you are doing something that's really, really fun, for you, whatever that is.
Yeah. So what I teach a lot of my clients is to see the orgasm in everything. So also when you're crying or when you're angry or you're going through an emotional state, to have it build up to something and let it come down. And to see that kind of that kind of exercise is everywhere. And so that doesn't mean that you're not allowed to be angry, feel it, express it, go fully into it, and really let it have a peak, because that's kind of the natural way to move through things. Like this orgasm thing is everywhere. And that doesn't mean that you have to be horny when you're angry, but it does mean that you can actually invite pleasure in and a physicality and let your body move through it like that. And that's actually a very primal, natural, like animal way to move through things. And that's much more healthy than thinking, why am I angry? I shouldn't be angry. Oh, that's wrong. Ugh. Actually, especially with our emotions and with what we're feeling, it's so healthy to move through it in a much more primal, physical way. And I wanted to just quickly say something about my tantric view on men ejaculating, because I think a lot of people think tantra says man cannot ejaculate. I think like There are tantric teachers that say this. My personal opinion is if you feel exhausted afterwards and you feel depleted, then you're ejaculating too often. And for usually like young men, like once every 2 weeks, it's totally fine. Or once a week, it's totally fine. But if you start noticing that after you've ejaculated, you feel dead, disconnected, shut down, then it's one too many. So to really kind of start splitting it, but for like with the men that I work with, what I try to teach them is just choice. I don't want to reject like anything is sex. I don't want to reject anything. I'm not here to say ejaculation is bad, porn is bad, any of it's bad, because the moment I say something is bad, it's going to live in the shadow and it's going to take up its own world. What I'd rather have is that there's conscious choice. So you as a man can decide when you want to do that, or if you want to do that, so that there's a choice in the situation and it isn't something that lives you. And for that, you have to split it a little bit.
Super, super interesting. I'm so pro-choice. Like the words "you should do anything" will never come out. You just won't hear me say that because A says who. Like
exactly.
Written in the clouds that you cannot ejaculate. So for me, I have zero problem ejaculating when it's time in that process. And I always tell my partners, like, I will ejaculate whenever you say, Noel, we need to take a break. because of understanding how to enjoy these frequencies and energy, and also being in really good physical shape on purpose, because it allows me to enjoy this part of life longer. Like I don't, like, cardio-wise, I don't get tired. Like I just don't. Like I can run for miles and it just is what it is. So when I do ejaculate, it's so powerful. Like, and it's like
exactly.
a whole nother show. Anybody out there that is like stopping themselves for that, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. Just be aware that that's another frequency. If that was being measured, that would be a whole nother place. So you can figure that if you want to.
To really take everything out of the shadows. Like we do so much in sex. We say this isn't allowed, this isn't okay, that's not okay. Like whatever you desire in sex, whatever you want in sex is sacred.
For sure.
And it doesn't mean that you can demand it from your partner, but it's still sacred. Like if you have, I don't know, you feel desire for a more BDSM thing, there's nothing wrong with you. Like that's your soul speaking to you saying, I need this kind of nourishment right now. And again, doesn't mean you can demand it from your partner to give it to you, but you can speak about it and say, I notice that there's something in me that's needing this. How can I create or recreate this for me? Because it's sacred. It's sacred.
I'm so happy you just said that. You said it twice just now. And as far as the demands on human beings, I see this as a big challenge for people. And it's coming from a lack mentality versus an abundance mentality. And what it is we forget that we share a planet with 7.7 billion humans. And instead of, we want to turn the person in front of us, whether they're already your partner or someone that you're just physically attracted to or interested in, we want to turn them into, not everybody, but there's been times where, before I was aware of this, it was something that, we want to turn them into what we would have them be, the things that we like we want them to like as well, and want them to do those things as well, when that may not be a part of their journey. That may not be what they want or what they like or what they desire for themselves. So it's okay. And that doesn't have to be like the end all be all of a relationship. It might be, but just remember, keeping in mind that just basic rule, universal law, universal truth for all of us is we can attract to us whatever it is that we desire. So if you're very clear, which is the most important thing, being super clear on what's important to you, like once you get honest with yourself and you say, this is important to me, these are the things that I really like and that I desire, and you could just be really excited, not having to know how that's going to happen, when, who it's going to be, all these details that typically make us anxious. Now you become the frequency of it right now, and you're very solid on that. So now you can attract people into your life that they like the same things, and you can experience life with them the same way, no matter what it is, whether you want traditional relationship, non-traditional relationship, different things that go on sexually in the relationship, like whatever it is that you are excited about. Trust me, there are millions of humans on earth that
you'll find someone
easily. Like it won't actually be as difficult as you think. What makes it difficult is doubting that you will, wondering, do you have to change yourself in order to have someone love you, or you want to spend time. Like all these things make the process go slower because you're not creating that solid energy of, this is what I like, this is what I want, and I don't have to know how, when, where, who, but I'm just gonna keep this frequency as how I live, my state of being, and then I'll attract to myself someone also that wants to live that way. So
there's this amazing book called Deeper Dating, and he really talks about like being authentic in how you bring yourself into the world, and that if you are a shy introvert, to be the shy introvert, to not try to force yourself to be this confident extrovert. Don't, like, be the shy introvert, because then you attract somebody that wants that in their life. And that's also on the masculine feminine work that I do, because if you are a woman that's actually really stuck in your masculine, you're going to attract a man that needs that in his life. And it's maybe not actually what you want. Maybe you want actually the big alpha man that takes care of you. But for that, you need to be in a softer state. Otherwise, like an alpha or a king will never want to fight you. He wants to just be there for you. So to really, the more authentic you are in your dating and your relating and how you put yourself in the world, the more you will find someone. You will find someone that will match that. And a lot of people have such scarcity mindsets. Like, I know, I understand, like it seems so unique that somebody loves you, that it seems like such a hard thought that there will be somebody else that will match me better. But what you're saying, there's so many people in this world, there will be. And as soon as you own what it is that you need in this world, and what you need in your relationships and your sexuality, you will be able to create it. But you have to own it. You have to stand for it. It doesn't mean you can demand it from anybody. It just means that you own it for yourself.
Absolutely. And here's something else that you guys will love out there. You might not even be